Happy 4th of July, Ravens fans. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, the USFL season is in the books. I have 5 players that the Ravens could potentially sign as free agents now that their season has concluded. We'll go over those names and tell you about all 5 of the individuals coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, highly encourage you to share today's show. And here's what I need you to do. Go ahead and click the share button, select the Twitter icon, click post to Twitter. If you tag me at Tyler Jones Live, you are going to get a retweet. And the first 10 people to share today's show and to follow me on Twitter, you are going to get a follow back on Twitter as well. So you pat my back, I'll pat yours as well, and we'll all be happy. So help us help you. Let's get this show out to as many Ravens flock members as we possibly can, and we'll get started with today's show. So here's what we're going to do. I got 5 names to go through, and I know what some of you may be thinking. Well, we don't need that guy. That's not a position to prioritize, whatever. When it comes down to these USFL players who are just trying to make a roster, we're just looking at best available at this point. So that's the focus of today's show. Let me preface that before we get into these names one by one. Let's start with Birmingham Stallions quarterback Alex McGough is the first player we'll go with. McGough was really good this past year with the Stallions as he was the MVP of the league, also led the league in touchdowns, passer rating, completion percentage, won not one but 2 USFL Championship titles. So obviously, he's on his way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, right? He has previous NFL experience, might I add, as he was with the Seattle Seahawks, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Houston Texans as well. And the numbers were pretty dang good for McGough as well this past season as he won the league MVP award with 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, in 10 games played. So average about 2 touchdowns per game. Threw for over 2,100 yards and a completion percentage over 67%. I know the Ravens have some question marks at that backup quarterback position as we've heard the rumblings about Todd Monken having some skepticism about Tyler Huntley and what do they necessarily do? Do they want more of a pocket-style quarterback potentially? Maybe you bring in McGough to compete for that backup role potentially, or to be that third emergency quarterback that the NFL is allowing. So that could be a possibility to think about for the Baltimore Ravens here. Our pinned comment today, I'm very curious. What do you guys think? Do you like spring football? Did you watch the USFL? You also had the XFL this year too. What did you think of spring football? Is that something that interests you? It was nice to have at least some football of some sorts going throughout the spring months to get us at least to training camp. Now the real stuff really begins. I can't wait for college football to get here along with the NFL as well. Let me know in the comments section. What do you think? Do you like spring football or not? Tell me what you think. Y for yes, in for no. If you like spring football, weigh in the comments section and let me know what you think. Next on our list is Corey Coleman, the wide receiver from the Philadelphia Stars. Began his career in college with the Baylor Bears and was fantastic in the college level and bounced around to several different NFL teams, including the Browns, the Bills, the New England Patriots, the Giants, and the Kansas City Chiefs. But this season, he finally showed up and showed out with the Philadelphia Stars as he led the league in receiving yards and receptions. And he also made the All-USFL team, as you can imagine, with what he was able to put together. The stats in 10 games played were pretty good for Coleman, as he had a nice 669-yard total for those leading receiving yards that he had league-wide with 51 receptions, 4 touchdowns, and about 13 yards a reception as well. Corey Coleman was really good there with the Philadelphia Stars. Next on our list is another player from the Birmingham Stallions. That is Jace Sternberger. Began his college career with the Kansas Jayhawks, playing under David Beatty. Ultimately moved on to Texas A&M, where he finished his college career, and he's always shown flashes. We've always known that Sternberger was a talented player. Bounced around a couple different NFL teams, from the Packers to the Seahawks, the Commanders, and ultimately the Pittsburgh Steelers. Things didn't work out, but finally had a breakout campaign this year with the Stallions as He not only made the All-USFL team, but he also was the league's receiving touchdowns leader and also helped lead the Stallions to their second straight championship, as we mentioned. And the numbers, let me show you these from Jace Sternberger, what he did this past season. Nearly 16 yards of reception, 517 yards, 7 touchdowns, 33 catches. Sternberger, a very good receiving tight end. And you look at the Ravens. We've seen how successful they've been at developing tight ends. Maybe you keep Sternberger around, especially if, an injury or something happens to whether it's Mark Andrews, likely Kolar of some sort. Sternberger could be a good fill-in option of some sorts. Maybe you keep around the practice squad, whatever it may be, and have Sternberger ready to call up his name if something were to happen and be a potential tight end on this roster for the Baltimore Ravens. Name a player from the USFL the Ravens should sign. We've given you a few names. We got more to get to. Obviously, there's others across the league as well. Weigh in the comment section. Name a player from the United States Football League that you would like to see the Ravens sign in free agency. Folks, we're talking about your Baltimore Ravens each and every day here on the channel with nonstop news and rumors segments. If the Ravens make a move, we stop whatever we're doing to bring you a breaking news video to tell you about the moves the Ravens are making. We also do our live shows from time to time, as well as our watch parties for some of the marquee games during the season as well. And we're getting close to 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. Subscribe now for free today. Consider that our 4th of July gift to you, a free subscription to the Ravens Rundown. Subscribe now, turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/RavensTV. Next on the list, we go to the running back position. That's where we find Mark Thompson from the Houston Gamblers. And Thompson, for Houston this year, was outstanding. He made the All-USFL first team. He also was the league's Offensive Player of the Year, as he also was the rushing touchdowns leader for this season. And he was in Baltimore to begin his career, if you recall. Ultimately ended up with the Jets, the Lions, and the Raiders. And this was a true breakout campaign. We know that the Ravens have some question marks at the running back position. Maybe this would be a good time to bring in Mark Thompson, coming off a great season there with the Houston Gamblers, where, think about this, he only played in 8 games out of the 10, and yet he still managed to rattle off 14 touchdowns, nearly 5 yards a carry, 653 yards off of 135 carries. Mark Thompson was very impressive and could be a nice asset potentially to the Ravens as far as that goes. One more player before we call it a day here on Ravens Rundown that we want to talk about. We'll go to the defensive side of the ball. That's where we find Braylon Speaks, the defensive end from the Michigan Panthers. The former second-round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs really had problems staying healthy in Kansas City, ultimately got passed up on the depth chart, and they moved on from him. He played for Las Vegas, Dallas, the Giants, the Buffalo Bills, kind of bounced around. But this year in the USFL, he not only was able to stay healthy, but played at an elite level, leading the league in sacks, and also made the All-USFL team. In fact, in those 10 games played, he had 9 sacks, nearly a sack for every game he played in the USFL this season. Also had 6 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 53 tackles. Braylon Speaks, if he can stay healthy, I think he could actually be a decent player in the National Football League as far as I'm concerned. Your chance to weigh in. What's the Ravens' biggest need remaining? Obviously, they're going to tighten up this roster a little bit before the season actually begins. What else do they need to do? Weigh in the comment section. Let me know what you think the biggest need remains for the Baltimore Ravens at this point in time. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. That's where you can find me. Hope you have a fantastic 4th of July weekend. I'm going to be celebrating this holiday, enjoying myself. I hope you do too as you celebrate the 4th of July. Think about this, folks. We're hearing a lot about beer companies these days, but nobody's actually talking about beer, right? Well, if you're going to have a cold one today, I encourage you to buy American, drink American as you celebrate this great American holiday. We're the greatest country on earth. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, and have a fantastic 4th of July. We'll see you next time right here on the Ravens Rundown.